Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the J22 report. I am your host, Johnnie Market. You all know that drill. Smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't, give me a follow on Rumble. And I just want to do a video today. I might do one tomorrow, but I want to get into Friday's economic data. And if you look at it, the S&P Global Composite PMI 52.4. Manufacturing PMI now is global is 50.1. So if you actually look at this, and the global services 52.8, way below the consensus of 56.5. And you look at it, manufacturing is almost in recession. Now, this isn't the US where like manufacturing is like 10%, so it's not gonna, globally, this is everywhere. That means people are making less product. But yesterday, meaning it was in a positive 50s above. But existing home sales, 4.24, that was an increase. I mean, the home sales have really declined. But why I think the market's gone down and gold really went up today was Michigan consumer sentiment, way below the consensus of 73.2. It came in at 71.1, which shows sentiment is not doing all that great. And I just want to go into the fear and greed index real quick. See what the sentiment is. What's driving the market. And in terms of it, right now it's neutral. Normally extreme greed, that extreme fear, but right now it's just neutral. 1 week ago was fear, and then the market started going up. Before it was greed. So if you look at it, this is generally the fear is where you want to buy, and greed is when you want to start selling. So right now, you look at it, new high, extreme fear, that's when but look at that junk bond is at degrees. And I still think this is a good sign, bad sign for junk bond, the greed, because interest rates are still going up. Let's actually see where interest rates are. Interest, 10-year, of course. Looking at the 10-year, this is why I wanted to go. Interest rates went down, but the market went down. Interesting. But if you look at it like a 5 day, still up 0.3, 1 month, 0.9. 9% interest rates, 9.13 year to date, 1.78 on a yearly up 11%. September was really the low, 3.62. Now it's 4.6. And if you look at it on a 5 year, it's gone up 165%. The thing about interest rates is eventually this is going to affect the stock market, and you'll see stock market in the red. I would say maybe in 2026. I don't know. So, in terms of the data, though, if you look at it here, it's just Wall Street slips with mixed data. So, if you keep seeing bad data like this, I think there'll be a stock market correction and gold will go up because right now we're in Trumphoria, but I think reality is going to start hitting about how much he can do and how much he can change. Look at this. The tech sector was the biggest drag on the market. Nvidia reversed a sharp rally. I think tech's in a bubble. I mean, AI is probably like the internet of 98. They're gonna have a big bust, but it'll probably continue. And look at this right here. Remember what I said, watch the data for gold's next big run. What do I mean big run? I mean the stocks and the juniors in the bad economic data. Gold price is holding firm as US flash PMI shows slowing economic activity. And that's the one thing I learned about the bear market is it's not the economy, It's not what I think, it's what people think. And the government data, in a trend-like fashion, meaning that matters. And yeah, if you look at it, still same thing. I keep seeing these gold to 3K things. And I was the first one to say this. Look at this. Goldman Sachs predicts price of gold to 3,000. And gold price could 3,000 in Goldman Sachs. And I was the first one to do this, but this has me worried that everyone's saying 3K because it might touch 3K. And then 3K might be the new 2K. Or if you actually look at, I mean, it's hard to find but since gold hit, I can just do a uh, 10 years. And let's see if there is a, and so anyway, what has me worried is if you look at it, what happened with 2K. So it went to 1900. The gold price won't show this, but went to 1900 in 2011. And then we're at 2015. And it keeps going, going. If you look at it, 2000, some people say the bull market started here or started here, but if you look at from 16 to almost mid 2019, it did absolutely nothing. This is around 1100. This is around 1200. For like 4 years, didn't do anything. But then gold eventually went up and in 2020 finally broke 2000. Then it sold off drastically, broke 2000 again. Now this is 2020, but in 2022. And then it went down again. And then 2023, it touched 2000, went down again. And then there was no such thing as a quadruple top. And finally, in late 2023, finally broke 2000. You can see it went there and just touched there and came all the way up to 2400. And I think it's going to make another one where it's going to really break 3000. And where it's really going to break 3000. It could go to 4000, but I always say if you want to know the final blow off top, I don't care what the technical people say, what the final blow off top is in this global market. What the final blow off top is. When to, sell most of your holdings, or, and this is just my opinion, not financial investment advice, when to really lower the amount of miners and or bullion you own. Look at these really crappy junior over-the-counter stocks. Impact Silver during the gold. Now this is 97, which is an anomaly, but if you look at this in 2011, it was around $2. That is generally a sign of a top. 2006, 2000, sort of just before the '08 crash, was around $2006. Another one, let me see, Bear Creek. Now I do own this one because I do own this one. I think it will, when silver breaks 50 or gets to it, but not investment advice, just my opinion. Let's do all. If you look at it, it came out in 2007, around $8 crashes. And it goes around here. It's not in production, highly levered. It goes to 63 cents. And then towards the top, Let's see if we can get more towards the top. It gets around 10 to 11 bucks. And just 2000, if you look at it, just keeps going down. And when it starts really moving to 2 or 3 bucks, that's, in my opinion, that's my opinion, is when it's gonna go, that's the top of the market. So anyway, in terms of other things, I just wanted to wrap this up. This is interesting. I found this is NASA's website. Now it's for kids, but like I was doing the thing on time travel and it says time travel possible. They can't hop in a time machine and go back, but we do know clocks, airplanes, satellites travel at different speed than those on Earth. So they're admitting like there's some form of time travel, which is strange. More than 100 years ago, a famous scientist, Einstein, has something called the theory of relativity. It says that time and space are linked together. Nothing can travel the speed of light. So there is something here. This is about time travel. I don't know if I believe time travel is possible or not. In today's world, I think anything's possible. I just wonder if there is a big technology. Maybe this could be like flat Earth. They throw it out because I was seeing all these articles on MSN.com. They do it every day, and I'm like, what are they planning for? And this is the other thing is like BBC, this was an example of article I just pulled off. Is time travel real possible? Here's what the physics say. And I mean, there's that YouTube video, which I think's fake, of time travelers saying it will be revealed in 2028. So I was just trying to look. I don't really believe it. I think that was just more of a troll. And then this is the other thing I found, which this came up on MSN, MSN.com. If you look at it here, you can see MSN.com. UFOs moving at incredible speed underwater, Congressman says. I we hear this and pertaining to the markets, we hear about AI, tech. You see the Mag 7, which is, if you look at what the Mag 7 is, which stocks comprise the Magnificent Seven, which I think Netflix is one of them. But yeah, most of it Alphabet, Microsoft, Nvidia. So Alphabet, which is Google, Meta Platforms, which is a tech, it's social media, Amazon, which is also it's retail, but it's tech, and then Tesla, which is basically a tech company. So I think there's something really they're gonna reveal something. I don't really know. And it was just like this. It reminds me of this. I remember in 2019 reading all these articles. They were just popping up on my feed about vaccine hesitancy. And I was like, I hardly know anyone that is against vaccines. I was like, what are they doing? And the reality is they were pre-programming people. So, this they knew they were going to mandate something. It was probably planned and there was going to be resistance. So they wanted to label them as crazy. So this is January in 2019. Why don't some people get their life-saving vaccines? And they just wanted to be able to prime the pump to call anyone crazy. And that's why. And so I'm seeing something with time, with tech, and there is Neuralink where they want to implant chips in your brains, they want to do it in your palms. So I don't know. I wonder if something's going down. That's all. Last thing regarding back to the markets though. In terms of sentiment, I saw this video and I cannot help myself, but here it is. I am selling my silver for Bitcoin. And it's Robert Kiyosaki, who is nothing but uh he's a scam artist, honestly. Uh and ever since I've been saving silver, but times have changed. He's trading silver for Bitcoin because the dollar's collapsing. If you look at how Bitcoin's traded, it trades with the Nasdaq. You buy Bitcoin because you're bullish on the economy and you're bullish on the stock market. You don't buy it because it's not a pain trade. It's not a pain trade. It is not a fear trade. It is a bullish, harmonious trade. So this to me is more of a top call in Bitcoin and a bottom for silver, if you ask me. I've never seen silver more hated. And you know what they say? I remember when I used to interview Jim Rogers, which I mean, he was nice to me when I interviewed him. I have no opinion of him. The interview was worthless. I mean, tons of people have said, interviews with Jim Rogers, so mine, if you've listened to his interviews, you know what he's saying. But anyway, but one thing he did say that's very is like things will start to rise when the true believers start throwing in the towel. And if you look at him, Robert Kiyosaki, who's always calling for high silver, true believer, he's throwing in the towel. So this is I mean, I think it's bullish for silver. I don't think this is the top in Bitcoin, but it's coming. And the thing about Bitcoin is like people should be averaging out on uh up days because I know from the gold and silver junior mining sector when it gets bearish, you might not be able to sell out quickly. You might not be able to sell out at a market order. You might have to do a limit order at a much lower price than what the carrying value of your coin is. And that's reality. And if you want to buy, you might have to actually outbid or wait for a very long time, and you don't know if you can still fulfill that order. So liquidity dries up in bear markets, and you might have to sell for a lot lower than what it's trading at, or you might have to buy it if you want to buy it at a lot higher. So anyway, last thing though I wanted to do, I'm going to post this on Robert Kiyosaki because if you look at it, this was 14 years ago. And of course, this was about how he ran complete scam artist with his whole Rich Dad Poor Dad classes. And of course, this was done, I believe, in Canada. The US would never, I don't think the US would do groundbreaking. They like fraud unless it's done to the elites. So, but I'm going to post this below. You can take a look for it yourself. It's harder to find now. Like, look, it only has 729 likes. And it was 14 years ago. I think it's important. So anyway, that's all I have for today. Just remember, nothing said on this channel should be construed as investment advice. If you watched all the way through, thank you. And I will see you next video.